And welcome back to Late Night Lately. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the late night show. Wait, the late night show. Yeah, for the website podcast. C+Comedy.com. Like I just said, is a website. Go there. Welcome back in. I have more jokes for you. Here is the monologue. Jimmy Kimmel returned to Airways after a week of suspension, and it looks like the Ozempic worked. I like that joke. President Trump spoke at the United Nations this week, berating members, calling the group ineffective, saying some of those countries are going to hell, and saying their ideas like climate change are, quote, the greatest con job ever perpetrated on the world. Are we sure his teleprompter wasn't a mirror? An escalator at the UN stopped while Trump and Melania were on it. Later, his teleprompter also gave out. Trump asked Secret Service to look into it, calling both incidents acts of sabotage. Now he knows how it feels. Before he was president, we were doing so well and everybody wanted to be us. Now we're worth nothing and can't sell enough stocks to get la boo boo. I don't know what that is. Delegates at the UN walked out of Benjamin Netanyahu's speech as a sign of defiance and protest. And if you want my opinion on the matter, nope, you will not be canceling me. I have nothing to say about what's happening over there with anything. And finally, James Comey has been indicted by the DOJ, Department of Justice, for what President Trump says is making false statements during his September 2020 testimony about Russia's meddling with the 2016 election. They had 5 years to make that decision, with the time running out at the end of this month. All I have to say is it sure does stink to get that needless information at the last possible second, doesn't it, Combs? All right, and that's the joke. And Hillary Clinton was the picture of the thing. You really have to watch the video. That was the end of the monologue. Here we are. Let's go on to. Oh goodness gracious! I couldn't put that thing back to where it was for the life of me. All right, let's get on to whatever we have going on here. As I said, it was the night of all nights. We had our friend Jimmy Kimmel return to airwaves, and it was good. It was wonderful to see him come back and do jokes. If it sounds like I am vamping, so that I could go to my YouTube and look at the videos, you better believe, because I did not set anything up. I just wrote the jokes and I said, oh, I'm so excited to perform these jokes, and it's time to get out there and choose what is going to go up. Everybody was back. Everybody was here. So we were able to deal with that. Let's start with the Tonight Show. Jimmy Fallon had a great week, and everybody when on Tuesday. So we got the information Tuesday that Kimmel was coming back. So it was wonderful to see that, and everybody told jokes surrounding Kimmel's return. Fallon had an excellent week. No, I'm just gonna say they all had excellent weeks. Matthew McConaughey popped up along with Eric Church, who was a performer and a guest. Carl Anthony Towns as well. Sean Penn, Zachary Quinto, Frederick Bachman, Lang Lang, and who else? Kate McKinnon. And then the Kim Kardashian was in a cold open, as well as a guest, and Mark Wahlberg and Lola Young performed songs. Oh, and Ian Lara was a stand-up. He also interviewed the cast of One Battle After Another, which is, it was nice to see Leo's do late night, but Leonardo DiCaprio. But it wasn't. They were at a theater, and it was a group thing. And it seems as though the only. Oh, Rose was on their show as well. It seems as though the only press video press, I guess is what we'll call it, that Leonardo DiCaprio is doing for this movie is going to be in short bursts, with the exception of an interview with Jason Kelsey and Travis Kelsey, which is not something I like. He should, you're a movie star. Come on, late night. I don't want to see. I don't want to see him do a podcast with those people. Two boring white men. This week on Late Night with Seth Meyers, we had just a banner week for this show. Jake Tapper, who wrote that book after the fact about Trump, not Trump, about Biden, just beating the man while he's down. Jade, as well as Lola Young, Bobby Cannavale, Louis Partridge, Kim Jung, Tyreek Withers, and Timothy Oliphant, whose stint on Late Night just continues to be excellent. There was also a day drinking with Matt Rogers and Bowen Yang, and that was truly just a standout segment. I would not want him to do this all the time, but man, I love the day drinking segments. They're so great, and I want to know all of the behind the scenes for that. I just want to know how they happen, how long it takes. It's just great. It's just wonderful. Let's see. Sorry, I clicked on a video. Now I'm trying to get out of it. As I said, Kimmel came back, and his monologue has done his returning monologue has done wonders. I think it was a good monologue. I don't think it was worth. I'll just say this: he's a much nicer guy than me. I would have been so petty. The second night that he was back, he was very much meaner, and not meaner, but he was very much making fun of Trump. And now I would say his views on his videos have evened out. But it was, it's still more Kimmel. And if you haven't watched the video, go ahead, do it. It's a nice almost half hour worth of monologue, and he does cry a couple of times, and the crowd's clapping as they do in the Late Show and in the Daily Show and last week's night, which I say is way too much. But it was an excellent return, and it has high marks. So many views. Again, I would have been much meaner, and he does play the political violence is wrong thing again. So supporting Erica, Kirk, and that family. Okay. Anyway. Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Oscar Nunez, Lisa Ann Walter, Glenn Powell, Ethan Hawke were his guests, and Sarah McLachlan played Better Broken. I will say this: besides his monologue, it's just another week, and they'll be going to Brooklyn next week as planned, which is interesting because I would think that Disney would have put the kibosh on that, but it's good that they did not. Thank goodness that nothing was ready to go at the time of the suspension. But I'm sure that was going to happen regardless, that they were going to go regardless. The Late Show with Stephen Colbert had a decent week as well. Let's see. I'm sorry. I'm trying to look for the guests. Okay, Scarlett Johansson, Senator Mark Kelly popped up. And then Gavin Newsom was a headline guest for an episode. Priscilla Presley was there as well. Lainey Wilson performed, and Senator Chris Murphy was there as well, and Jeremy Strong and Carrie Preston. CBS has to be, because I watch CBS mornings, has to be one of the networks out of the four networks, has to be the one that does the most cross promotion, and I would think followed up on other shows, and followed up with that is probably ABC, because there's just so much of hey, they'll use like a news story slot. They'll use a slot in the B block to promote a show that is on their network, which they're allowed to, but It's annoying. He also had a Sound of Science, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there was a Meanwhile at some point, but I might be wrong. Yes, there was a Meanwhile. For The Daily Show, Jon Stewart returned to his Monday post. Look at him working over the course of 2 weeks, over the course of 4 days, twice. Look at him working. Jon Stewart returned, and he spoke to the beautiful Jacinda Ardern. And then we also had Jordan Klepper sit in as host for the rest of the week, talking to Sebastian Murphy, John Fugelsang, and Regina Hall. And then Leslie Jones last night did an opinion piece, I guess that's what we should call those. And then Viagra Boys, I don't know what this is, performed Pyramid of Health. Because I watch the shows via YouTube TV, I skip through commercials, so I typically don't watch it on YouTube, but I subscribe. But I skip through commercials, and then I'll get to the monologue, and I'll get to the guests. And then more often than not, for The Daily Show, if I'm done with the guests, I'll just be like, okay, I'm done watching the episode. I don't know what this Viagra Boys thing is. And then on last week tonight, John Oliver talked about Jimmy Kimmel and the FCC, and he did an excellent story about that. There was a split second in time where I was like, this is the end of the episode, and I was going to take the mic and shove it off. But that's not true. And yeah, Jimmy came back, and we were so grateful to have them back. We also, at the very last possible second, I've gotten news sent to my email that Jimmy Kimmel Live is returning to broadcast on Sinclair. Now, if you didn't know, his suspension during the suspension, I guess. Good Lord, I keep getting emails. the C Plus Comedy email account keeps getting emails. Wouldn't you know it? This comes from Variety. Okay, so anyway, if you didn't know, during the suspension for nothing. Sinclair and Nexstar, both are affiliate owners around the country, trying to do separate mergers. Said that they were taking, their percentages of their affiliate stations and preempting the show and airing Jimmy Kimmel Live and airing, reruns of Family Feud or something like that. Anyway. That means nothing in this day and age because a majority of the people watch the monologues and the guests online. Most of the monologues. It doesn't matter what show it is. If it's Kimmel, if it's any of the Jimmys, if it's Seth, if it's Colbert, if it was After Midnight, if it was last week tonight, Daily Show, most of it's online. But ratings are still important. Anyway, ratings are still important. That's very true. Now, Sinclair, one of those conservatively owned television station groups, is ending the boycott after a week, not even a week, because they said they're preempting. And he didn't. He was suspended last Tuesday. They said they're preempting all the episodes from Heretofore Unknown, and now it's only been he's back. He was back this Tuesday, so Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So that's 3 episodes. Oh my goodness gracious! What a bunch of bitches! It ends the boycott. ABC stations will resume airing the show immediately. This comes from Todd Spangler. Yeah, 38 ABC stations were part of this protest. And what Sinclair and Nexstar wanted was for Jimmy to make a direct, sincere apology, as well as, how do I put this? Donate money to Charlie Kirk's foundation. No, that's so stupid. Oh my God. So the show is returning tonight, September 26th, even though it's a rerun. It's going to rerun Tuesday's show. Well, it's not rerunning Tuesday's show. ABC was already planning their rerun Tuesday show. They said in a statement, while we understand that everyone will agree with our decisions about programming, it is simply inconsistent to champion free speech while demanding that broadcasters air specific content. Their ABC stations included DC, Seattle, St. Louis, Tulsa, Charleston, Chattanooga, which I knew about, which I saw, and I was like, why are they doing this? Why didn't I don't understand why this is happening. First of all, I don't understand why they did in the first place. I don't understand why they are immediately like, we have to turn around on this. Were they seeing a meaningful impact from people not watching the show at that time? I don't know. Next Star is currently and its 32 of ABC affiliates have not said anything yet. But Sinclair is ready to go. Sinclair, I'm reading the statement. Sinclair is in our ongoing constructive discussions with ABC. Sinclair proposed measures to strengthen accountability, viewer feedback, and community dialogue, including a network-wide independent ombudsman. These proposals were suggested as collaborative efforts between ABC affiliates and the ABC network. No, you lost. You lost, buddy. It's fine. It's okay. It's okay to admit you lost. Even Letterman put out a video earlier today talking about the return of Kimmel. It's great to just like have Letterman not have a show, and if you're paying attention to his YouTube channel, just to have him destroy Trump from the wings of the audience. Okay, there is not a lot of news. However, there is a news story I've been putting off for about 2 weeks now because of the Kimmel thing. Like truly because of the Kimmel thing. And it's unfortunate that it happened to this person who was part of late night for a period of time, and then she was just unceremoniously ousted and forgotten. This comes from Deadline, written by Peter White. Lily Singh says she was set up to fail in late night. Oh my God. Like truly the day that I put this on is I was ready to go, and now it's nothing. Lily Singh was one of the last women to have her own late night show. If you don't remember, she had A Little Late with Lily Singh. She took over on NBC. She took over the Carson Daly slot, the 1:37 a.m. slot, which to a lot of people will look bad, but to me, at this point in time in my life, I would say, hell yeah, brother, let's do it. It aired for 2 seasons with 177 episodes between September 2019 and June 2021. If you'll recall, when all of the other late night hosts could not do their shows anymore, and before everybody figured out that they could do it from home with special cameras or even their phones or laptops or computers, Lily's show was still putting out new episodes with full studio audiences and guests. At which point I thought, are they breaking COVID protocol? And then I had to do some digging. It's easy for anybody to find out, but they would do bulk shooting for the show the same way that TBS would do for Pete Holmes' show. They would shoot multiple episodes ahead of time, and that's why the monologue, because I paid attention to that show, but I didn't watch it. I just paid attention to it, but which means I watched a lot of clips. I watched a lot of it. I watched it. I didn't watch it to enjoy it. I just watched it. But which means that a lot of the monologue jokes were just like evergreen, which was so crazy to me. I still don't completely understand why they did it that way, but largely it worked. When the show came back in the middle of the pandemic and they were shooting from a house. There are two versions of that show. One with a studio audience and guests, and like some bits, and and then the second version of that show was during the pandemic itself, and they rented out a house, I guess, in Los Angeles, and they had like a skeleton crew of sorts. They interviewed people via TV, and Lily was able to do like truly what she is known for from the internet. And I think that second iteration, that second season of that show was so much better than that first season. Speaking of SiriusXM's Julia Cunningham, Singh said that filming 96 episodes in 3 months was not the cutest schedule. I'm going to read a very long quote. So here we go. I don't think anyone intentionally was like, we're going to set her up to fail, she said, but I don't think any part of it was set up to really be successful. Late night shows are supposed to be timely in season 1 when those 96 episodes were releasing. Of course, a global pandemic hit, so now I'm the only show that has a live audience. I'm talking about traveling. I'm talking about parties during the late night episodes and people were like, what's going on? Then the second season also releasing during the pandemic, so it was Zoom interviews. So I had 2 pandemic seasons of a late night show, half the writer's room of everyone else, and half the budget. And honestly, I'm so grateful because I feel like I can do any schedule and I learned so much. But yeah, it was really tough. Yeah, I think we're cherry picking the setup to fail thing. But yeah, it was. She was. And I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the article writer, who the fuck wrote this? Todd. Oh, Peter White. I'm saying that was cherry picked. It's important to note that yes, she was. They did 96 episodes. That's so many episodes in 3 months. Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah, if typically with these newer late night shows, we have John Mulaney at Netflix doing 12 episodes, and that was a lot for him. He enjoyed it, but he also said it was a lot, in so many words. And then we have the typical late night show, which is 4 times a week. Used to be 5, but 4 times a week, every week, and then you get hiatuses and everything. This show is very. I'm glad she's able to reflect on it right now and look back at it and take a learning experience from it. But I think if there were a different change from it, if NBC could get a do-over, I don't know why they would want to, but they would take a show like this, like Lily's Little Late with Lily Singh, as well as Amber. I was gonna say Amber Riley, Amber Ruffin's, Amber Riley, the girl from Glee, Amber Ruffin's show, and really just say, which was once a week, and they already used the studio space that was Seth Meyers' studio, late night, late show. Is it late night or late night? Whatever, it's late night. That I think they would look back and go, okay, hey, we can get rid of this 1:37 a.m. slot, and we can take the Amber Ruffin show, and we can take A Little Late with Lily Singh, and we can put them on Friday nights. They can release on Peacock, but we can put them on Friday nights, and get viewers that way, as well as get it on Peacock, and we can have the best of both worlds. I think Disney does that really well with some of their shows, like Alien Earth. Alien Earth aired on Hulu and it aired on FX. So on Tuesdays, you could, for 8 weeks at 8 p.m. on Tuesday, you could go to FX and watch Alien Earth, or you could go to Hulu and watch Alien Earth. And I think that's excellent. The same thing happens with HBO shows on HBO Max. I get why they wouldn't have wanted to do that, and just producing 2 more shows and paying more of the money first, which was not a lot of money. I watched all of the Amber Ruffin show. It was not a lot of money. In fact, you reuse studio space, and a lot of the people working on Seth's show were working on Amber's show. But that would have been great to like truly have 2 more diverse women's perspectives on late night, in late night, and they were and truthfully, they're both very silly. So it could have been just a different landscape. Late night could be a different landscape than what it is right now. I think if Joan Rivers were still alive, somebody would give her a late night show, and technically, or a late night style show, and technically, not Chelsea, Busy Phillips does have a show on QVC, on QVC's streaming platform, and it is set up as a late night show, but I don't think it is in that category and taken seriously. Lily added that it was one of the most challenging things I've ever done in my life, saying that she doesn't see herself doing a late night show. Hey, Lil, I got something to tell you. It's it's a struggling genre. But if any show that's like a daily type of show would come up to me, I would be better equipped to ask better questions. Talk to me about budget. Talk to me about the schedule. Talk to me about like any contingencies, any plans. Like there was just so many questions I would have asked. She's not a very verbose person. Yeah, again, that show, A Little Late, what is not exactly the fodder that I prefer from late night, but Last Week Tonight grew on me. I still don't like the audience, and I still think they relied too heavily on these character breaking jokes on Last Week Tonight that are truly just unfunny. But it is something that is very important to have, again, more ladies' voices in late night. And if TBS, after Conan left, if TBS were still inclined to have Full Frontal with Samantha Bee on, or if that show was able to go somewhere else and survive and live somewhere else, then that would be another voice, another take on what we are seeing in today's world and climate. But as we've seen, late night shows can be just thrown around more so than any other show, like more so than reality shows, more so than cartoons. Just late night shows just can be dropped in an instant. Look at besides Colbert and Kimmel situations, look at After Midnight, how Taylor was like, hey, I don't want to do this show anymore, but you guys should keep doing the show, and you should find another host because the show is great. And then look how quickly Paramount was like, no, we're going to save the $10. It's just, we need these shows. And if we have the same styles, if this genre falls off and then all we're left with is daytime talk shows and these morning news shows, then there's no way to discern to parse what could be funny and what could work. So let's pretend we live in a world where Last Week Tonight is the only bastion of late night comedy we have left. Paramount Skydance has canceled the Colbert and the Daily Show, and ABC, after Kimmel's contract ends, ABC is like, we're never doing another late night show again. And NBC shows, well, I guess SNL would be their last thing too. But I can't. Having a whole genre just disappear would affect how we, I hate saying this, consume what we watch. I think that there is a bit of, again, I hate this, but this is how people get their news. And if you get your news from a late night show, you should not be voting. But it's, and I guess Gutfeld would still count. And I guess Bill Maher's show would still count. And it's not late night, but I do consider it a news comedy show. Have I Got News for You, the American version. And I'm throwing a lot of wrenches into my theory, but it just wouldn't work, and it would be something to miss, and we would continually take stabs at it and always miss and get it wrong. Or in Netflix's case, get it right but cancel it because it's not returning the same numbers as Stranger Things. I hope Mulaney's Everybody's Live comes back. I think that's such a great show, and I want all these late night shows. As much as I lambast Colbert's audience for clapping after everything, which is disgusting, and the Daily Show's audience for doing the same thing. I want these shows to exist because they help the audience feel a little less crazy, because there are insane things happening in this world. If the president can say, Secret Service, look into that escalator stopping, I could have died. Have you seen the video? He could not have died. I pressed my desk and it adjusted. Have you seen the video? He could not have died. He and Melania would be just fine. And they turned the stairs. Ugh, ridiculous. All right, listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where you can see me talk famous. You want to watch a video version of the show, go to youtube.com/cpluscomedy, where you can see me, and you can also watch the other video versions of the other podcasts. LinkedIn Logs, the Jobs podcast, and the Constitutionals, the Entertainment Business News podcast. You can also watch me talk to famous people under the interviews. Subscribe to those shows wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on social media at C Plus Comedy on Blue Sky, Instagram, and TikTok. Me at Chad Black White. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye.